Hello and welcome. I am thrilled, you guys, to bring an incredible interview with you. We're going to be talking about longevity, lifespan, quality of life, and even the death experience. And that gives me chills. My guest is incredible. She owns an elderly home, a senior home, and it's been in her family for generations and generations. And they've incorporated activation. And the stories I heard were just nothing short of goosebump raising, shiver in your spine, incredible. And I need to get this information out to the world. So I asked Shanell to join me today and just talk about her experience with activation in her senior living homes. And Shanell, I just want to introduce you. She's she's got a heart of gold. She's the mother of 7 children. And again, she runs this senior home with so much heart and compassion. And you're going to see it's a lot different than maybe other senior homes you visited. So without further ado, Shanell, I just would love for you to kind of give us your background, before activation, sort of your family history with running these elderly care homes, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually grew up in an AFC home. I've lived in one since I was a little girl. My mom ran one. My grandma actually started one of the first ones and here. And so it's just been my aunt owns one also. So it's been a family thing that we've done for several years. And so growing up in one, it was a lot different than what I'm experiencing right now. Um, I actually couldn't wait to get out of it, to be honest with you. Like at 18, I just wanted to leave. I've seen so much death from a child and just they lived in our home, obviously. And so I would just get so close to them and I loved them, very relational, and then they would pass. Normally anywhere sometimes really quickly, but most of the time, anywhere from 6 months to 18 months was a long stay then. And so enough time to fall in love and love them like a grandparent, and then they passed. And the way they passed and the journey there even was always long and difficult. So when I was 18, I just decided that senior care was not for me. I was more geared towards children and wanted to go a totally different way. So I went to college for occupational therapy, wanted to work with kids more and that kind of thing, and got married and decided I wanted to be a stay-home mom and homeschool my kids. And so we kind of went a totally different direction. And several years later, my mom was had to step back. We had an emergency crisis in our family with my sister, and I kind of got the business, right in my lap very quickly. And I just knew that if I wanted to keep the business and if I even could do it, I had to do something different. And so I actually did start looking into supplements galore and acupuncture, just everything I could do to just kind of change the trajectory some. I really wanted to give golden years. I
Mhm.
wasn't seeing that. It just seemed like such a robbery. And it just seemed different than what I see in the Bible. Like it just wasn't the dying process wasn't just like and they went to sleep and they weren't still hiking a mountain at the end of their life and then passed. They were literally in wheelchairs, couldn't remember things, sometimes couldn't even feed themselves. Even to stand and pivot was like so much and it was just a lot. We had a lot of care. Um, it was sad to watch and I wanted something different. So I went on this long journey and thankfully I pulled in a doctor that had a little bit more holistic approach and he had just heard about LifeVantage and nutrigenomics.
And
And
this
so
is
yeah,
how long ago is this?
that was 10 years ago.
Okay. And he tells
Yep.
you
Well,
about it.
it was actually about 8 months after. So I owned it probably 8 months and was doing all this research when he came on and we started talking and I started sharing my heart on, there's got to be something different. And the medications, the hamster wheel of medications was not the answer and it wasn't making anybody better. And so he had just heard about nutrigenomics and he came in and he said, I'd really like to try this for elderly people. Like here is the proof is in the pudding here. Everybody here is 80s and 90s and failing. Like we're going to see before our eyes what this really does. Um,
Shanell,
so
just real quick, what was
yeah.
it that caught your attention that this was something that you were going to bring into your senior home?
Well, he showed me the 31 peer-reviewed studies. That was important to me because even with pharmaceutical meds, I would look at things and I would see very little study. I would research the side effects, and so my staff was aware of what to look for. and there just wasn't that much to study. And then he came and told me about 31 peer-reviewed studies. That
Mm.
really got my attention. I was like, peer-reviewed? Like, I wish everybody had to do that. Like, I wish that was actually a criteria for everyone. Like, a pharmaceutical lab makes a prescription drug or whatever, and it has to be tested and gone through other processes of people that don't have their hands in on it. So that really should be the case. So when he came to me and told me that Dr. McCord actually had 31 peer-reviewed studies of renowned institutions and universities that put their hands on this and did their own studies and what they came up with. And so I was like, I shouldn't have been skeptical because here I was looking for it this whole time. Like I knew in my heart there was an answer and it wasn't in what we were doing. But then when it was coming right to me, it was like, it was just hard to believe because I had just spent so much time looking.
Shanell, I did an interview with Dr. Christina Parks, and she's one of
Uh-huh.
America's frontline doctors, and she's a consultant. And she says the hardest thing about our business is people say it's too good to be true. It sounds
Yeah,
too good to be true. So I think that's
I
what you were doing.
agree.
Like, but I also love your faith. Like I believe that with every fiber of my being, if we are seeking an answer, we find it. It's in scripture. Seek,
Right.
you will find. And that's what you did. You went on a journey because you knew there had to be something out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it it shouldn't have surprised me, but then when I found out like the five ingredients and the work behind it, I was like, this has God's fingerprints all over it. Like, of course. And so I was excited to dive into the studies. I wouldn't just put it on my residents because I wanted to make sure that I did all my research. I want to make sure I brought it to the families. But after the research, I was like, this is incredible. Like, I am paying for everybody to do this if they will. So I approached the families and they were kind of like, what? And just kind of saw the ingredients because they didn't do all the studies. So to them, it was just like, oh, sure, you can do a supplement. And it was like, okay. I didn't know what I had yet. So I just kind of joined that bandwagon of supplement, but it has so much to do, like extending lifespan. That was huge for me. It was just huge. I just to have like I used to have 6 to 18 months and now I have people 5 or 6 years and still going.
Oh
So
my goodness.
talk about increased lifespan. That's never been the case. Like I said, I've been in this since I was 8 years old and I'm 50 now. And yeah,
So
it's just
you
so
what you
different.
just said was actually really profound. So you went from
Yeah.
seeing 6 to 18 months life
Mhm.
expectancy once people enter the home,
Yep.
even in the loving conditions of a personally cared home,
Yep.
with just few people. You said about six people at a time,
Yep.
no more than that. And now you're seeing a life expectancy 5, 6 years and beyond.
Yeah, we're still seeing it. So I'll have to get back to you on how long because it's
Well,
still
we'll give it
going.
even a few more years.
Right.
Let's
I'll have to come
let's
back to
talk.
that.
Let's talk because I really just kind of want to get into the death thing because I find that
Yeah.
fascinating. I home birth my children. I believe birthing your children, you birth your motherhood, your womanhood, and
Yeah.
all those things. And I feel like that's been taken from us, and so has the death experience. So before we get into that, though, I want to dive into the quality of life. So, okay, are they living longer, but it's just more agony and just, sometimes when people are doing so poorly, you kind of feel like, I hope they just die
Yeah.
because it's so painful to watch them and you just
Yeah.
want them to go to sleep and have it kind of be over. What
Mhm.
what does it look like with their longevity?
That's definitely what families was experiencing. They would come in and be like, there's no quality of life anymore for my mom. And they just wanted it to end. And then when the dying process started, which is very long and violent, it can be weeks. It can be filling up with inflammation, the chain stoking, the needing to turn the pain. Like even if you touch their body lightly, they would just be in excruciating pain towards the end.
Mm.
Um, it can be obviously they're not alert. They don't talk towards the end, dry mouth, just get this really gaunt skeletal look face. It's hard to watch. It's really hard. And families, it's hard to sit beside them. It does get to the point that they're just like, I just want them to go. I can't do this anymore. I can't watch this anymore. The suffering is great.
Mm.
And that was one of the things that made me want to run. Like I just, especially as a young person seeing it, but even now as a person, it's just hard to watch the
Mm.
people that you love go through that. Um, but that's not what I see anymore. So that's the exciting part. We started this. I wasn't planning that. Neither was Dr. Hyde, who was with us, because we just there weren't any studies on it. We didn't hear there weren't any peer-reviewed studies on it, anything like that. So it was totally new territory for us. We were just excited that we were getting people off hospice. We were getting people um, off medications, living better. Like, I even had to build a bigger driveway because residents got their driver's license back. So that was fun.
Tell us about Dawn's story before we get into, well, you could tie death in at the end, but tell me about
Yeah.
Dawn's story because you posted about him recently.
Yep.
You share his story with us?
Yeah. So Don came to us and he had maybe a couple months to live, weeks to a month. He was nothing but skin and bones. He couldn't walk. He was in a wheelchair. He had sores everywhere. He had fallen and he just wasn't gaining his strength back. He wasn't thriving. He wasn't gaining weight. Couldn't eat. Just not doing very well at all. So he came to us. We normally that's a lot of care, especially for a man,
Yes.
to be able to transfer and stuff. So we normally don't take that level of care, but we had his wife with us. And I was not going to have them, and she had weeks to live at that time too. I was not going to let them die apart. So we brought in more caregivers. We did what we could and just had him come, expecting, thinking it was too late. Like again, this was new to me, and so I just didn't know really what LifeVantage products could do yet. I was pleasantly surprised with the blood pressure. I was pleasantly surprised with different things, but then I started seeing people get off hospice, and that's what happened with Don. We started him on these products right away. And over time, he just started gaining weight. His sores healed. He started feeling better. We started working his legs. All of his vitals were getting better. And hospice was finding he's improving. He's not declining. So, we might need to take him off. And I'm like, if there's a chance of him improving, that's all I needed to hear. Like that was just like the words.
Wow.
So I was like, he's off hospice, he's on PT and OT, and we just worked around the clock with him then at that point when we even had a glimmer of hope. And so I was like, okay, we're going to do this because he had taken care of his wife before that, and he's 15 years younger than his wife too.
Oh, wow.
So, he wanted to care for his wife while she passed. That was his biggest thing. And he just saw her lingering and him, and it was hard. So when I heard him say, I just want to care for her like she had me, that gave me the passion and the willpower of what I needed to do there. So I continued with the products. We did PT and OT 3 times, and then I came in on other days and continued exercises with him. We eventually got him to standing, then he was walking, then he was he was just gaining weight. He was doing everything so well. He started taking care of his wife. She actually lived another year. So we got her up and walking again too, which was incredible. When she came to us, she couldn't, she was a bed patient. So she was able to get up and walk a little bit more. She came to us in January and she actually died Christmas morning of
Oh,
that year. So it was just under a year. And for Don, he's still going. He has his driver's license back. He is gardening. He is teaching our kids how to garden. The staff brings children because the residents are doing so good. They play games, they do puzzles. So we have a lot of homeschool moms that work there. We have a lot of moms that have their children. So we allow them to come in. We have a playroom downstairs and all that kind of stuff. So we're just bringing the elderly with the youth together, and it's been a beautiful thing to see. So it's kind of, healing the soul and the body and keeping it in a home-like atmosphere, 6 people at a time, so they feel like a home, like it feels like a home, instead
and
of an institution or a nursing home.
And bringing in the children brings it
Mhm.
full circle because that's
Oh
how it
yeah.
was designed to be. We were designed to be in a home with multiple generations and family
Yeah.
coming in and everyone caring for each other and grandchildren, in and out. They
Yep.
actually did a study. I think there was an old folks home, and I don't remember. I remember reading this article years ago, but they put it next to a kindergarten center or like a daycare center,
Hmm.
and they would bring the children in a couple times a day. And it was just a win-win for everybody. I mean, the,
Oh
the
yeah.
children were thriving with the love, and then the elderly were just thriving with the little children.
Yeah. Absolutely. I have pictures of the residents and the kids gardening, dancing in the living room, playing puzzles, writing on, putting blocks together. It's amazing when you bring the two together. And we think sometimes it's the youth that's helping the elderly, but our kids need them too. Our
Yes.
kids need to know the history. Like I have a funny picture too of Don. He's got a cup with a string and going into the other room, and he's got the kid on the other side. He's like, these were telephones in my day. And so, joking and laughing, of course, and all this kind of stuff. But it does. It just, they tell them, they share the wisdom with them, and the kids love it. They take time to just cuddle. Where I feel like now, sometimes we're so busy and we just keep going and we don't spend time with our kids, especially parents nowadays. But the seniors at our home, they'll just take time to just cuddle and talk to them, look them in the eye and ask them questions, and you can tell the kids just blossom too.
Oh my gosh. I have goals for my own family. Like I want to just be so free when I'm older that I could just live with my kids and take care of
Yes,
children.
yes.
Because I have 8 kids too. You have 7, I have 8. And we just know with all the things we do in life, we can't just sit there 24/7 and hold a child.
Right,
It doesn't work
right.
that way. You know,
No,
it can't.
no, you
So
got to have a living. You got to pay
yes.
bills and stuff. Absolutely.
But to
Yeah,
have someone extra there just to be that person that can hold them is
yep,
so beautiful. And I think that's the beauty of all the generations coming in together. I
yeah.
I heard a story from Hannah, and I'm probably gonna butcher it, so I would rather have you say it because I don't understand even what it means. But she said there was a person on dialysis, which again I don't fully understand that, who started to urinate again.
Yes.
And I don't even understand the significance of that, except that Hannah was like super excited. And
Well,
wow,
she was a
that just confirmed.
dialysis nurse.
Yes.
So we had a gentleman that came to us and he had not urinated in quite some time. He was on dialysis. So they go get hooked up and they filter because that's what the kidneys are supposed to do. And the kidneys aren't working anymore. So they have a machine that helps filter. And so he had not urinated in a long time. And he came to us.
How
We,
long?
again,
It was long, wasn't it?
it was long. It was over 5 years.
Okay,
Some
that's
5 or
that is
10
what I
years.
was talking
Yeah.
about. Like it's not like there's a long time for me, like not peeing a long time would be 3 days.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
this
So
is
it was a long
5 years.
time. Yes, and we weren't expecting this either. I mean, you have to understand too, I was just starting these. So although I read the peer reviewed, I was like interested about lifespan, but in my mind I had seen so much and what I had actually experienced, I had seen so much that I didn't understand what all of this could do. I mean, we were just testing it all out, just trying it on people. So, we didn't know until all the situations started coming. But he came to us and he was on dialysis. It was about 3 months in, and all of a sudden his bed was wet. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it smelled like urine. And I was like, there's no way. There's just no way. And I was like, this is crazy. So I called my daughter and she's like, Mom, that can't be. I'm his dialysis nurse. That doesn't even work. I'm like, I swear this is the case. But at the same time, in my mind, I'm just talking myself out of it because it just seemed like it couldn't be possible. And so he went to dialysis actually that next day, and she was his nurse, and he peed in the chair. And she called me. She's like, "What are you doing? What have you been done?" And I'd already been telling her little things here and there, but she was just like, "That's nice, Mom. That's nice." Well, it was probably actually this. It was probably actually this. Was he on a new medication? Like supplements don't do that. And I was like, I agree with you, supplements don't. I was still learning the term activation and the difference at the time. And so I'm just was scratching my head like, what is going on in this place? Like things are changing. It's just right in front of my eyes. Different things are just like people who are like supranuclear palsy, progressive supranuclear palsy, that process to see it stop. And we had somebody like that, and it was
Wait,
supposed
what
to
is
be
that? That is that again, these are and that's the cool thing about activation. It is there's so much science to it, but then you can just be someone like me who doesn't even understand all those technicalities, but be like,
yeah.
try it. The studies are there. What is that long word you just said?
Progressive supranuclear palsy is a horrible degenerative disease, and it basically you lose all muscle tone. I don't know if you know Angie Huntley, but her dad actually died of that,
Oh
and it
no.
was a very horrible, horrible death.
Is it like
He was in his
ALS?
60s.
Is it
Very similar to MS, ALS, as far as you don't, he couldn't even make eye contact. His
wow.
couldn't even, his tongue didn't work, like nothing. All his muscle tone just left. And so we had a lady that came to us and she was doing those board falls like they do. They just kind of stiffen up and fall back. And she has a dementia component too. She was combative when she first came to us. Um, and they just told us what it's going to be. And it was going to be hard and a lot. So, we had a Hoyer already, just, when she couldn't walk anymore and feeding. And so she came to us and she just kind of didn't get worse. She wasn't any better, but she wasn't worse. And that's not supposed to be the case. Like she was
Because
supposed to
they go
continue
fast?
fine.
If
Yes.
it's like ALS, it can go very fast
It's
down.
progressive. Yes, it just progresses. But she didn't. She just kind of plateaued and just stayed there. And pretty soon she wanted to walk herself. And we're like, that just can't be. But we're a year now into it. She actually had an appointment with a neurologist, which they didn't expect her to make it to the next appointment, but they had an appointment for her. And she went there and they're like, no, you can't walk by yourself. There's just no way. You have this, your fall risk. We don't advise this. And she came back really bummed. But at this point, she was getting better. Like from when I talked to Angie about how her dad passed, I'm like, wow, no, she started reading again. Like she was picking up books and
Wow.
reading. And she's like, what? And I'm like, no, she was feeding herself. She was, and she's like, Shanell, and this was the first resident I've ever had with this. It's not super popular. So I didn't realize what it was supposed to do until I compared notes with her. But I did know based on when she came, what the doctors were saying. They had given her a certain amount of time to live and told us, how it's going to progress and what it's going to look like. And there will be a point that we get hospice on and probably get more hands on deck to care for her. So we didn't see that. And it was kind of shocking. And he's like, well, you first not progressing like we would expect, but we're also not going to give you permission to walk by yourself. And so she was a spunky little one. She's a tiny little lady, like 4'10", like it was crazy. And she wanted to walk on her own. And so she would try and wait for us to pass, and then she'd quit, get on her walker, and try to hurry into the bathroom without us. And pretty soon she's holding her walker. She's carrying her walker as she walks to the bathroom. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, the lady was just a pistol. But she made it to the next year for the neurologist appointment. And he just, at that point, he just threw up his hands and said, I cannot call it remission. I cannot call it you're cured. Like there's no such thing for this. I can just scratching my head and saying, for some reason, you don't have any markers.
No
And
markers.
no markers, no markers. She had no markers anymore, but he still wouldn't call it remission or cure, because there's no such thing. So he's just like, go home and walk, I guess. If you want to walk by yourself and you want to take that risk, it's up to you. And so she said that she did want to take that risk. And she lived another 3 years. And even when she passed, it wasn't at all like the death that Angie's father went through. That was just long and agonizing. Her family member got to be with her. We knew that it was going because pretty much what we see in the death process now is they sleep more, which I think the body, restores and when it sleeps. So it's just trying to sleep more. The body is made to live as long as possible, to have that last breath. And so when the organs are getting tired, they just kind of stop eating. The digestive, kind of goes first. So they slow down eating. They just reserve as much energy as they can. And so that's kind of what we see. Like hospice necessarily wouldn't put them on hospice because of what we see. Their vitals are still good. Like it's hard to get somebody in hospice with
Mhm.
just saying, hey, they're sleeping more and they're eating less. A couple times we've been able to because I know that's what it was. But for the most part, it's crazy. And she stays talking. They stay talking. Like one guy was singing hymns 10 minutes before he passed, with his family, and another her that morning even, she just was like, I don't feel like breakfast. I just want to sleep longer. And went back to sleep and she just didn't wake up. Um,
Is it less pain? Also, I mean,
yeah.
we talked about inflammation, but something I've seen
Yes.
almost totally unrelated to this is I have seen people's, because we're mind, body, soul, it's all connected.
Mhm.
And there is something called the pineal gland, and it's like our God connection, right? And it
Yep.
gets calcified with all the toxins and toxicity.
Mhm.
Um, and we kind of lose that connection. And I have heard so many incredible testimonies about people becoming closer to God or being able to pray and being able to meditate, and being at peace once their body is activated.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's that
absolutely. I
element as
mean,
well that you're seeing in the death process, like kind of like a peace.
yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, I have seen through all the years of doing this that as the soul, I mean, I think ideally God would love us to live spirit, soul, and then body.
Mhm.
But as the body starts to die, the soul will start to die. The spirit is naturally going to become more alive then, because it doesn't die. And so in that process, we see those kind of things, but we hadn't been able to see people talk through it, and stuff as much as we do now, because they would just, be in so much pain, and we'd be giving them so much morphine, which would make them stay kind of under. So you couldn't talk to them anymore. So they were getting lots of pain meds and just keeping them kind of snowed is what hospice does. Um, not all knocking hospice, it's the protocol.
Yeah,
You keep somebody out of pain. People want to be out of pain too.
yeah.
Um, but we didn't see people in pain. And they weren't filling up with fluid and inflammation. They stay talking and they stay alert. I mean, they're aware. It's kind of weird. They'll talk to us and they're aware that they're passing. They'll say things like, I don't have much longer. So they feel their body like
Wow.
losing strength, but they're able to speak it. And we'll be like, "No, you're fine. Look at you." And they're like, "No, I'm not going to live much longer." And we're just like, "What are you talking about?" But it's true. Within a month's time, usually we'll just see them slowly stop stop eating, sleeping more, that kind of stuff, but we don't need the morphine on board and things like that. Um, a lot of times when they get to the end and they're not getting out of bed, hospice will try and be like, well, let's just get ahead of it. But thankfully, I've had some people that be like, no, I want to stay with my loved ones. I want to talk all the way to the end. And he wouldn't give it to them, and they didn't need it. They were they were great, and they literally had shared moments of talking to the end. And many of them were able to tell us what they were seeing too. Many of them see their loved ones come. Some of them see angels, and we've had a couple. Jesus himself came and said it's time, and they were able to talk us through it and tell us. So
You're
yeah,
making me cry.
you know,
Gosh. And then
yeah,
these are actually really beautiful things to talk about because like
yeah,
even, comparing it to birth, no one ever talked about birth when I was growing
right,
up. My mom had
right,
C-sections and it was just like you go to the hospital, you're in horrible agony, but you get out with a baby, it's going to be worth it. And
right.
you're throwing
Yes.
up and maybe you can't walk because you got the
Uh,
it's just something people don't really talk about. They just end up showing up with a
yes.
baby.
Yeah.
And then I had my own sort of process with it and I don't know. All of it fascinates me. Birth
Yeah.
fascinates me, the way we're supposed to be born, the way it was designed, and then the way we're supposed to die is something that I just am fascinated with as well.
Yeah,
Because it
absolutely.
does,
I actually delivered my babies at the hospital and on the heart floor even because I had a heart condition. And after I started this, 4 months into it, I didn't have any more heart palpitations. And a few months later, I had EKG and it was normal, and I had never had a normal EKG. And so my seventh child, I actually delivered at home. Totally different experience. It was awesome. My best pregnancy was my last one, my only one activated, but I'm older. It's my seventh. He was bigger,
yeah.
and I went overdue everything, but yeah, it was definitely the best.
I have so many stories with activated mamas.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, but I've never heard this end. I've never really gotten to hear the experience. So
yeah,
I am beyond, I don't know what time we're at. I'll probably close it down so it doesn't go over the half hour mark. But Shanell,
right.
this has been fascinating for me. Is there anything else you want to share? If there's a story that like maybe you missed or something that comes to mind, if you want to share it.
You know what? We haven't talked rehab, so maybe I'll talk
Okay.
rehab. That is one thing that I've been really excited about. And I'll end also um with a different approach too on this. But we've been getting people with rehab from rehab that just says they're not going to walk again. There's nothing else we can do for them. Just you need to take them to an AFC or a nursing home, and several of them will look for AFCs. And when you hear those words, is there's nothing you can do. Still I'm doing activation and I want to see what it does. So I still talk to the families and they're like, yeah,
Give it a
if you think
try.
that will help, sure, you're gonna pay for it, just kind of things like that, not understanding really. Um, but after the second or third time that I got somebody totally back and walking and home again, after they said there's nothing they could do after they've been there for 6 weeks, rehabbing, they couldn't do anything. And then I do. So now I'm starting to build a little bit more.
Wow.
I'm starting to get a little bit more aggressive with how, like, this is what we're doing, this is what I know, this is what I can do a little bit more. So just the 4th of July, we had somebody that had fallen and they broke their hip, and the doctors couldn't do surgery because there was already a pin there, but it was fractured. And I mean, she's 89, so she's older. So they're just like, she needs to go to a skilled nursing home. Well, the family brought her to us, and I was like, let's just do PT. We're gonna get going. We can get this. And so they believed and they came and they're like, okay. Well, the first day I had the PT come, he was just like, she should not be here. He was actually very, very stern. He was like, she should not be here. She should be in a skilled nursing home. She is never going to walk again. He did a full assessment. She was crying out, couldn't even move her leg, no range of motion. It just didn't look good. And she was like, she's going to die of pneumonia in bed. You need to get her to a skilled nursing home. And I'm like, skilled nursing home, she's still going to die of pneumonia in bed if that's what you're saying. But at least she's with her husband. And so I'm like, but I don't think so. Like, you just got her from the hospital. So we had just got her. So I didn't even have the activation in her yet or anything, which normally I'm like, let's just reduce that inflammation. And I started her on the collagen too. And let's just build that up a little bit. And then we'll start the, PT. And he's like, I'm not doing this. This isn't going to work. And he went to walk out and I was like, I want PT done. And he's like, I'll send somebody else out, or you're going to have to find somebody else because this is a waste of my time pretty much. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get her walking again in 30 days. And she just kind of blurted out of my mouth. And he's like, if you do, I'll be back to see it. Like, just kind of like taunting me a little. So I was like, okay. So sure enough, I started her on the collagen and other two. And after getting done talking with him, he kind of got into my head like, this is not possible. So I did it twice a day. Who knows if it would have worked once a day, but I was just like, I just had to do it twice. So I did it twice for 5 days, and she started standing and pivoting, and she got off her pain meds besides Tylenol. She was still on Tylenol.
5 days.
Mhm.
5 days?
Normal. Yeah, 5 days.
Oh my gosh.
5 days. She was doing a stand pivot, not walking, it's just a stand pivot. And then a few more days went by and she started taking some steps. And then she was off Tylenol too. She wasn't in any pain. And by 2 weeks, she was doing a couple little steps that it takes to go up to the dining room. By the end of the month, she shared a dance with her husband. She was coming up and the music was playing that he knew, and he just started dancing with her. So we took a quick video of that, but it was beautiful. And so the PT did come back. I called him back and like, she's walking, she's walking. And so Joyce had a cake there for him that said, you were wrong, which he really appreciated. But I'm normally not that in your face, but he was
Yes,
um,
yes.
so aggressive that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to match that. Here you go. Have a piece of cake with us.
I
But she
love
got
it.
up and showed him how she walked and everything. And I was just like,
I would just
so
be like, have a collagen. Take
yeah, yeah,
take this. You don't even need cake.
yeah,
I feel that out there in the conventional medicine, mainstream, what everyone else is doing, I have said this many times, they speak death over you, is what I
yeah,
say. It's
yep.
like, there's no hope. This is what's going to happen. This is your prognosis. It won't ever get better. It's just going to get worse. And it doesn't matter if you're going into labor and having your baby. It
Yep.
doesn't matter any of it, that they speak death over you. Whatever diagnosis you have, these are your prognosis. This is your chance. It looks dire. And in our world of healing and the natural approach, especially when it comes to activating the God-given systems in the body,
Mhm.
I feel like it's a walk of faith, hope, and charity. It's like I have faith,
Absolutely.
I believe. I don't, and we don't even know what it's going to do because it's not like a Tylenol pill that says in 20 minutes it will take away your headache.
Great.
It is a faith walk because we're like, I know the science is there, I know the empirical data is there. I
Well,
believe
it
the
gets to the
body.
root cause.
Yes.
And
Yes.
sometimes we'll still have the symptom, but it's working on the root cause, is what I'm starting to see. Like, so, you might have headaches for a while, but it's when you take this, you're working on the root cause, and over time, your headaches will go away because it did the root, not just the symptom. Where more in Western medicine, we treat the symptom,
Yeah.
and that's why they say you're not going to get better or this is the way. But our bodies are made to heal. They're fearfully and wonderfully made, and they are made to heal. And when we work with them in the healing process instead of giving them, certain, Western medicine has a place. I mean, if you need insulin, you need insulin. I'm
Mm.
not saying that, but a lot of meds just mask symptoms or try to take the symptoms away, but it also causes other areas to deteriorate or to get worse. And so in this, we activate the body and the healing processes and what it's made to actually do. And that's what we see. And one of the things that I wanted to say at the very end was I believe with all my heart, after what I've seen right now, if we can start this earlier, like I already see great things in 80s and 90s, but if everybody could get on this, I fully believe everybody in the world should be on at least NRF2, even children.
Mm.
Like what we're being exposed to with toxins is crazy right now. But I do believe everybody should. But I also think if people get on this early enough, I really believe we could shut my business down. And you know what? I'm game on. Let's try it. Let's do it. Like I shut my business down because people have to stay at home. Like have to stay at home. They get to stay at home and they get to die at home in peace where they should be. Like I want to be obviously the next best place to home, and we do. We love our residents. We care for them. We nurture them. But if I can get them home, it's always my goal. And I hadn't ever been able to do that before now, and now I get people home again. Like and they thought it wasn't possible.
Wow. I have
And driving again.
I have no
John's still with us. He's driving, he's gardening, he's doing great. So, and he looks younger. We even posted a picture on our Facebook the other day, and a lady commented that had her mom several years before, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, he looks better than he did 3 years ago." And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "How is he getting better?" I was like, "Yep." So
Chanel,
it's
that is so I it just I never cease to be in awe of what the body is able to do.
yes,
And
absolutely.
I just want to thank you with from the bottom of my heart for sharing this interview. And now I probably after I end it, I'll have actually I do have one more question
Yeah.
because I'm sure a lot of them are on tons of medications when they come in. And we know that our products do not have any contradictions or anything like that with whatever medication someone is on. Can you talk to that just a little bit and just what your process is?
Yeah. Blood pressure medicine, we usually see that needing to be weaned and corrected somewhere between 6 months and a year. For somebody that's been on blood pressure medicines for years and years and years, it regulates. It's crazy. Um, Also pain meds, even anxiety meds and stuff like that. We've seen decrease. We've seen neuropathy. We've had people decrease in gabapentin, like right along, just kind of wean quite right off from it. It's really crazy the things that we see. It's not uncommon to have somebody come. It's really sad with like 17 meds.
Mm,
And and usually right now we have a lot of people on just plain their supplements and maybe, just one other one for something or, that they just don't want to get rid of type thing. Or the doctor is just like, you've been on this forever. Everybody in their 80s is on this med, so let's just
yeah.
keep you on it. So we've seen that too.
It's like the faith and fear model. That's what I feel
Yeah.
like. It's the faith
Yeah.
and fear model. I love that. I wanted to ask that question because there's a lot of people who are on their medications and they're afraid to start something new or they feel like it will contradict or something like that. And there is
No, it doesn't contradict. As a matter of fact, we did have somebody with cancer, and she wasn't going to take chemo because her blood work wasn't there to be able to do it. She's older. We started her on this. Her blood work got better, and they decided to start chemo. And I talked with her and told her what this is. The doctors were saying to, not to
stop.
stop it, during chemo, obviously. And I just told her, this is what it is. Do your own research and you decide. And she's like, I think I'm going to stay on it. It's made me feel better. And obviously, it made my blood work better. So I could do this. I want to stay on it. So I was like, okay. So she stayed on it. She didn't have near the side effects that my grandfather had with chemo. She actually completed all of it, and at the end, she was in remission. And then they even said, well, this is aggressive kind, so it will come back probably, in the breast or the brain, within a year. She went back another year, had great scans, went back the next year, great scans, went back the next year, great scans. And then 6 months after that, her husband passed. And she died 5 months after that, even. And I think it was just more of a broken heart, but not of cancer.
I
And so, I know that there's a fear thing, and there's some doctors that will just look at it and say, oh, it has ashwagandha. We don't want you to do it for hormones, or we don't want. But what people don't understand is if they would just do their research on what it is, which is why I did that, is it's micro dosed amounts. Like they wouldn't even have to be put on a label because of it's such a small amount. Like it wouldn't even have to be put on the label. But obviously it's what ours is made up of. So these are the five ingredients. They're all micro dose, but together in a synergy is where you're going to get the power of activation. So it's not what it is. We're not taking something to supplement anything. We're taking something to activate. We're making you're pretty much swallowing a key to your body,
love
and
it.
we're just turning it on.
Ah, girl, I just feel like if I kept you on here for 2 more hours, we would just pull out more and more stories. But
We probably could keep. We have so much in common. So
oh my gosh. Well, I can't wait to meet you officially in real life. I met Shanell's beautiful daughter, her second oldest, on the Alaskan cruise for our company. And I just fell in love with her, heard the story, and I begged her, I'm like, you have to introduce me to your mom. I need to have this story told. So thank you so much for doing this.
yeah, I
And
was
if you,
on the cruise too, but I don't think our paths ever crossed.
oh
So
no, now I'm
yeah,
sad, but I'm
I
glad I
was there
got to
too.
be with you
Yes,
today.
yes, I am too.
I just want to say to everyone watching this, I hope this inspired you. I hope this made you just really believe in what your body can do. I
Mhm.
hope you get activated. I hope you take Chanel's call to action and say everyone should be activated in today's world, and get back with the person who invited you to this presentation so that they can help you get started on your activation journey. Shanell, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time this morning, and I just loved every minute of it.
You're welcome. It was my privilege.
Love you, lady.
Love you too.